Welcome back to my channel. This is a preacher's wife. Today we'll be talking about something very important, and that is the things you need to know before saying I do. Things you need to know about marriage. They are very, very important. Things you need to know, things you need to do before marriage, before you say I do. Because marriage is supposed to be for a lifetime as God intended it. But there are few things you need to put in place there before you talk about I want to get married, I want to settle down with this person. Now, you're welcome. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and hit on the bell icon so you could get a notification when I post a new video. Now, back to our topic, marriage. We are so excited to talk about marriage. Yes, marriage is very beautiful. And one of the good things that can happen to you is if you marry someone that God has intended for you, who is your life partner, someone who can help you, someone who can bring out the best in you, someone who is there to support you, is very enjoyable. But on the other hand, there are those who are suffering in marriage because one, they missed it in one or two places, they missed one or two things, and today they have themselves to blame for it. You can't blame God for it. There are already principles that we can follow not to fall into the ditch. Today we hear about marriages packing up, we hear about spouses burning themselves, we hear about so many things on the internet, and you're like wondering, these same persons at one point in time they said I love you, at one point in time they were crazy about each other. There's one funny thing about life: no matter how much you love somebody, there's some realities that we set in a marriage and the love will just clear, and it will take the grace of God for you to be able to come out of those challenges. There's no marriage without a challenge, there's no marriage without an issue, but if you're with the person who is ready to work out those challenges with you, it makes the marriage easy and makes it enjoyable. So today we're going to be talking about things you need to know before you say I do, things you need to know before, outside you loving somebody and falling in love with the person, things you need to bear in mind, have in mind before you say I want to marry the person. Now, what is marriage? Simple definition is the coming together of a matured man and woman to become husband and wife. That matured man, woman coming together, husband and wife, marriage. That was how I was taught in primary school. That before marriage, you need to prepare for marriage. That's what we call preparation. Is if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So you need to plan, you need to prepare for the marriage. Preparation, I'm not talking about saving money. Sorry, far from that. I'm not talking about saving money. I'm not talking about looking for husband. I'm not talking about saving money or saving money to buy wedding dress or going to price that wedding gown. Yes, it's part of it, but there are some key things you need to do in preparation of marriage. Number one, seek for advice. Now, you've seen this person and you want to marry this person and you're excited, you're in love with the person, and you're like, I'm so crazy about this person, I want to marry this person. Seek for advice. They said what an elderly person is saying sitting down, a young person, even if he climbs on top of the iroko tree, he will not be able to say it. So one of the things you need to do is to seek for advice. I heard the story about a pastor who wanted to get married to a particular lady in church, and he was sure that she was the will of God for him. So when he went to his pastor to discuss this issue with the pastor and said, I've seen the sister, Holy Ghost is moving me. And the pastor said, no, you will not marry her. So he got angry and he was like, what do you mean by no, I will not marry her? Are you the one that the Holy Ghost told? Is it your Holy Ghost? Is it not me that the Holy Ghost told that you go and marry her? And you're telling me no, I will not marry her. What do you mean by that? Do you know that he reluctantly obeyed his pastor's advice, or his pastor took his pastor's decision and he didn't marry her? Funny enough, after 3 months or thereabout, she died of HIV. What if the pastor knew about this? Maybe she had confided in him as a pastor and he wasn't ready to open up her secret or maybe to tell anybody about it, but he was also preventing this brother from making a mistake. Most of us have jumped into so many mistakes when it comes to marriage because we didn't take advice. We felt like we knew better. We felt like we have already heard from God. We have seen, we want to prove a point. I've heard stories about some ladies saying that if it's not this person, I will not marry. And most times they jump in and they all jump out. I know some of you who have jumped out. It's not our portion, so we need to ask for counsel. That's why we have counseling in church. When you go for counseling, they ask one or two questions. They ask about your medical history. They ask you to run a test, get to know your genotype, your blood group. If you don't know already, trying to find out your compatibility with this person medically, if you're compatible, before I start talking about spiritually. So it's it's advisable go for counseling before marriage. What you're seeing we might be blinded by love. What you're seeing might not be actually what is there. It might not be actually what is there. You might be seeing a different thing while a different thing is actually playing out there. So it's better you go for counsel, discuss. Don't make it a secret thing. Yes, you live with the person, but don't make it a secret thing. Because when you have problem in your marriage, everybody gets to know about it. It's no longer, there's some problems that cannot be die in the marriage. It has to come out and people will hear about it. So number two, that's date courtship. You need to court this person. I'm not putting a specific time or duration for the courtship, but I know in my church we do, I think 6 months, within 6 months you should be done with this courtship. And in that courtship you need to be plain, you need to be transparent. You need to be transparent and plain. Don't go and start managing things that you know you cannot handle in marriage. Maybe someone has a bad attitude in courtship. Maybe the person is not mannered. The person talks to a lady careless, and you're like, maybe it's because he doesn't want to show me his good side. Maybe he's trying to test me. A man who loves you, there's nothing like testing in love. If already I know that you easily get angry, or maybe I see you fighting with the conductor over change, or maybe I see you raining abuses on another woman, or maybe I see you drive carelessly on the road and you talk carelessly. I wouldn't want to spend the rest of my life with you, because the way you talk to people outside, when I enter your house, you'll be talking to me that way. If you can do it in front of me, that means that's who you really are. So don't go and start making excuses for the person that he will change. And I knew somebody I know, he will change, almost killed her because she saw these red flags in a man and she said, if he can do this in front of me, that means he's not pretending. He's not pretending, he's showing who he is. You know you will not be able to cope with it later, and you still went ahead with the hope that he will change tomorrow. People don't usually change that easily. So if you see anything that you know that you can't cope with in a time of courtship, please don't go into marriage with that person. Don't go and manage marriage. Marriage is supposed to be enjoyed and not to be managed. It's not supposed to be endured. It's something you're going to do for life. Please don't rush into it. Don't say because Nkechi has gotten married, Agnes has gotten married, I need to get married too. No, don't do that. Take from my auntie's example. I have an auntie who died in marriage because she got fed up. Everybody around her was getting married and she got married to the wrong person. She got pregnant, one thing led to another, and she lost her life. We lost the baby after 2 weeks of her death. It's over 12 years, but each time we remember it as a family, it's so devastating because we knew why she had to go into that mess, because every other person around her was getting married. So when you see all these red flags in this person's character or behavior, please don't rush into it because Agnes is getting married, you want to get married. Because you've done Ashebi for Nkechi, you did Ashebi for Agnes, you did Ashebi for Okafor, you did Ashebi for this and that. If you're tired of doing Ashebi, please stay in your house. Stop counting the number of Ashebi you have done and you didn't get a man. Stay in your house. Don't buy the material. Don't do Ashebi. Don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure, and tomorrow you come out and you go in and you jump out. Agnes is still in her marriage, but you've jumped out because you were trying to follow Agnes, because we are trying to compete with Agnes. She's still in marriage, but you've jumped out. So when you see all these things in courtship, that's the reason for courtship, getting to know the person, the true self of the person. I think you should still go into marriage with that kind of person. And that thing you need to do is family investigation. It's so funny that they've stopped doing that part. When I got married, we were asked to do family investigation. I know during the time of my parents they did family investigation. It's very, very important. There are some things that you need to find out about that family you're getting married into. Do they like you? Do they marry from your tribe? One of the things that killed my auntie was that she married into a family where they've been instructed not to marry from our tribe, and the man was crazy about it and he wanted to marry her and she died. So if the family have said we are not marrying from this tribe and you're aware of it, you're already aware of it, why go into marriage with that person? But even if you want to go into marriage, at least you're sure of what you're getting yourself involved into. Find out what they normally do. They find out, do they have, when they send messages to out about them, do they have witches in their family? Do they have epilepsy? Do they die prematurely in their family? Do they have any mad form of madness in their family? Do they have any terminal illness in their family? Do they live long? They need to find out all this is about the family. I heard the story, a very funny video clip I watched about a guy who in their family their first two children dies. The first two children dies, then there's a third one that from the third one that stays. That's their family history. So he didn't bother telling the wife because he felt like after the first two has died, I will have another baby from the third one will stay, not knowing that in the girl's family they don't give birth to more than 2 children, because after the first 2 children, if she gets pregnant for the third one, the husband will die. So on the wedding night, they were now talking like, why is it that you are even insisting on having just 2 children? The guy said, okay, the guy asked the guy, why are you keen on having 4 kids? The guy said, in our family, the first 2 children dies, that is from the third one that will stay. The girl was shocked. The girl started crying. The guy said, what happened? He said, in our own family, we only give birth to 2 children, and once you get pregnant for the third one, the husband will die. Now this kind of family with this kind of history. Now imagine the commotion, imagine the trouble. Both of them are married together with different family history. So you need to do investigation properly, find out more about that family. Don't get blinded by love. When the reality of life sets in, the love will fly away. Yes, the love will fly away, and you'll be facing the reality. You'll be looking at it, you'll be staring at it. See, marriage is not a child's play. Look at it. It's not a child's play. Marriage is not a child's play. It's not for, that's why I say a matured man and a matured woman. It's not for children, it's not for babies, it's not for boys, it's not. So you need to check all these things, family history, family background, before getting married. So don't get blinded by love. When you see all these things, you need to look into them. Now, when you need to know more about your partner, that you know during courtship. Okay, relevant is one of the things, one of the values in selecting a partner. This you need to look out for in a partner. Number one, affection. Does this person love you? Yes, I know love is not everything, but first of all, does the person love you? Is the person managing you? Is the person proud of you? Does he love you? Does the person love you? Does the person trust you? Do you even trust this person? Is it the kind of person that when you're married to, if the person doesn't pick his call in the next 2 minutes, you're already panicking because you know the person is out there with another woman? In that BP starts, so before you get to 40, you're already having BP of 220 because you're married to a man who you cannot trust. So trust is very important in marriage. Before thinking about marriage, you need to think, can I trust this person with my future? Can I trust this person to be the father, to be a good father to my children? Can I trust this woman to be a good mother to my children? Is it the kind of woman that will marry that when she goes to PTA meeting, she'll be quarreling and fighting there? Can she represent me well in PTA meeting? And do you trust this person? Okay, honesty. If this person says this is paper, are you sure it's not Bible? If he says this is a pen, are you sure it's not a knife? Is this person honest?